At a time when the Hindi film industry was at its lowest point, when the calls were made that Bollywood is dying, comes a film or two films which just shatter all of this. A film written and directed by Aditya Dhar, who made his first film 6 years ago, which was again a big success. Uri the Surgical Strike made it a very small budget but was a blockbuster at the box office. And since then, he was working on his passion project. And as the ambition became bigger and bigger, the budgets kept rising and the producers backed out because they didn't have trust in the director to pull off such a big film. After that setback, he comes and makes Dhurandhar. The film is led by the Bollywood star Ranveer Singh, who's a quality actor but keeps getting mocked for his energy and out there personality. As his last few films didn't make a mark at the box office, his stardom was questioned. It was said that his career as a leading man is over. Now, when Dhurandhar was announced, we just got this single picture, which is very simple yet impactful. An ensemble cast, some big names, some heavyweight actors all coming together. But for what? We had no idea. Then finally the release date is announced for the film, 5th December 2025. And 3 months before that, we get our first look, a 3-minute long almost music video, which just broke the internet. It was clear that they were making something special, a remix version of an old classic song with Hanuman Kind's rap, and it was instantly viral. And as we came closer to the release, a month before, we got a solid 4-minute trailer, which again hit it out of the park. Then they officially released the music of the film, and yet again, all of those songs were viral. It became one of the most trending albums. Now, as we come to the release day, there is a negativity around the film, that the advance bookings are really poor. The preview shows for the media a day before the release were cancelled, but still the PR was at work. There were negative reviews of the film already out before the release. And after the release, there were allegations that there were corporate and block bookings happening for the film. So even after all the hype for the film, it was a bumpy ride. But there was no stopping the film when the word of mouth came out. A 3.5-hour film with adult rating decimated the box office records. The film made more money in its second week than the first, and the third week was even more than the first two. And then there was no looking back. It became one of the biggest Hindi film ever, grossing over 800 crores. Its worldwide number was 1300 crores. And even the critical reception was outstanding, apart from some critics calling it propaganda. Now Dhurandhar ends with to be continued, and we get to know that part 2, Dhurandhar the Revenge, will release on 19th March, within 4 months of the first film. Now that's because they had already shot the whole film, and that's why they could release it so close. And you would assume after being such a big success, it would be a smooth ride for part 2. But that's not the case, because the release date of part 2 clashes with another gigantic film called Toxic, starring Yash, who's coming back after 4 years of his humongous success KGF Chapter 2. And of course, it was a social media storm. The toxicity was everywhere. The fan wars were on full swing, trying to drag both the films down. All the experts believe that this clash is not good for both the films, but it would harm Toxic more than Dhurandhar 2 because of all the hype it carries. And thankfully, just 2 weeks before the release, Toxic postponed itself to June 4th, and March 19 totally belonged to Dhurandhar 2. Like, it literally took the start of World War III to avert this clash. The unprecedented hype for the film continued, and when the trailer for part 2 dropped, it just increased it multifold. We got another banger music, again an old classic remixed, and with that it just sealed the fate of the film that's gonna be the biggest blockbuster ever. Now the makers did something more. They kept paid preview shows for everyone across the country just a day before the release in the evening, and those shows sold out like hotcakes. Everything going good is not in the dictionary of this film's journey. Now the runtime for part 2 was said to be almost 4 hours, and then came the censor board with its butchering, which led to a very hodgepodge scenario for the paid previews day, as many shows were cancelled because the print was not received by the theatres, especially the dubbed ones, and the Hindi shows that played, they started late, including mine. But even after all this, Dhurandhar the Revenge is on its way to become the biggest Hindi film ever, and definitely in the running to become the top film of Indian cinema. Like, literally there can be a film about the making of this film, because it's truly a remarkable narrative. Now in the recent times, since Indian films have started crossing 1000 crores at the box office, you will notice most of those films are very star driven. But 2 films from that list which have left the biggest impact are ensemble films, where the storytelling was bigger than the actor itself, which are Bahubali and Dhurandhar. And if you look at it, there are so many similarities between the two. Both the films started as a single film first, and as they were making it, they realized that they cannot tell the story in a single film and divided the film into 2 parts. The filmmakers of both the films for daring to do something different, to do something which has never been done in Indian cinema, to push the boundaries of storytelling. And that happens when the filmmaking craft is the top priority, when every department involved excels at their work. The giveaway is that the people are talking about the writing of Dhurandhar. Instead of just the actor, they are celebrating the director of the film, terming it the peak detailing of Aditya Dhar. The performances of the whole cast is being celebrated, not just the hero. And that's because each actor playing that character is given that importance in the script. Technically, the films are brilliant. The way they look visually, the production value, you can feel the aesthetics and texture. The way the action is designed, something we have never seen in Indian cinema, which is so real, so bloody, so grounded, yet with that big scale. You just don't see the brutal violence, you feel it. Not because it's exotic, but it's humane. That the humans have tendency to do such things to each other. And we often forget the makeup artists, the costume designers, the prosthetic artists who make all that action look real. To show that kind of violence, that amount of blood, you have to rehearse it. You have to implement things on the set that it all works together. The kind of locations the film takes us to, it makes us transported to that world. The makers literally set up a set in a 6-acre land in Bangkok, and they got almost 500 extras. That's why the Liari town feels real, feels lived in. It's almost a character in the film. The sound of every hit, punch, bullet, gun, even the sound of pain, the way it all comes together in the sound design. And then Sachwat Sadev's music. It's not just complementing the visuals, it's another element in itself, a character which is part of this narrative. When you hear people talk about Dhurandhar, it's not just about the action or the massy movements, but it's the character, the drama between them, the tension they create in the narrative. And the biggest proof that a film has been accepted by the masses at large is when they take over the memes. From the dialogues to the characters to the movements in the film, they've all become the part of the zeitgeist. It's in the pop culture and will remain for a long time. That's when you know the film has truly become viral. Dhurandhar is a mainstream film which has masterful blend of commercial sensibilities with realistic and grounded treatment. Something we have never experienced before. It's almost like the detailing and depth of Malayalam cinema combined with the massive feeling of Telugu cinema. Our hero is a badass, he has a swag, he walks in slow motion, but he also struggles. We see the effort he's putting into the action. He also feels pain. The world doesn't revolve around our hero. Each character is important in the narrative. The setting of this film, the world building, the locations, all of them are important to the narrative. You cannot swap it to anything else. Both films together is a complete saga. Now, Dhurandhar and Dhurandhar the Revenge was supposed to be one single film, but they had to cut it into 2 parts. And I do believe part 1 is a better film overall than part 2. And it's very interesting to note, all these Telugu directors and actors praising part 2 so much more, and they enjoyed it way more than part 1. And the audiences are split on that. And there's a reason for it. Part 2 is much more a linear film. It gives you the payoff, it gives you those massy moments, which was set up in the first film really well. So if you enjoy the setup and the drama, you'll enjoy part 1 more. But if you enjoy the action and the revenge and the payoff, you'll enjoy part 2 more. Now the big elephant in the room is propaganda. Now first, let's just Google the definition of this word. It's a deliberate, systematic dissemination of information, including facts, rumors, half-truths, lies, to influence public opinion, attitudes and behaviors. It often uses one-sided messages, emotional appeals and symbols to promote a specific agenda, frequently distinguishing it from objective information. Now when the first film was termed as propaganda, I didn't agree to that. There was this one dialogue by R. Madan's character, but that alone was not enough to say that the film is taking one side. So I can defend the first film. But when the same term is applied on part 2, I don't think I can defend it. Because there's a clear choice visible the filmmaker has taken in the film. He has put across his ideology through the narrative clearly. And I would say kudos to him. At least he's being transparent. He's not deceiving anyone. He's honest about it. But could you question his intent? Maybe. Now the problem that arises is the film says it's not a documentary, it's a work of fiction inspired by some true events that happened. So the director took events that actually happened in the history and they are well recorded, and then created a fictional narrative which connects all of them. Now the thing is, the blending between the truth and fiction is so smooth that you cannot tell it apart. And the issue is the perception the film creates. Not everyone is well read in history. In the time of misinformation, WhatsApp forwards, suddenly the narrative the filmmaker is telling will turn into facts for many. And the trend we see nowadays, soon it will overtake the actual history. But again, it's about how we look at the film. We should create a society that can tell the difference apart. And I don't think it's a filmmaker's job to take in account how the audience will interpret what he's telling. The disclaimer ends with viewers' discretion is advised. Now, wherever you lie on the spectrum of this debate, one thing is certain, that you cannot dismiss the craft the film has. It's easily one of the best things to come out of Bollywood and Indian cinema. Now, if you want to see my full review of Dhurandhar the Revenge, you can check it on my other channel. Click right here. I'll be doing a full spoiler breakdown also there. Now there was another Malayalam film that came out on 19th March, Adu 3. I've already seen part 1 and 2. Review for that will be out soon with part 3. So stay tuned, like, share, subscribe, hype the video, that's a new thing, and I will see you next time.